Okay. You're good. Ready to go, Patrick? Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Emery. I'm your chair of Youngstown SCORE. And I wanted to welcome you to an event we have tonight called Women in Entrepreneurship. We have got, well, first of all, you know, it's a co-sponsored event with Eastern Gateway Community College, Westminster Entrepreneurial Center, SCORE, and Window World. And we're at Window World's studios here in on Southern Boulevard in Youngstown. And I want to talk a little bit about what I know about our speakers this evening. And then Patrick will kind of give you a little background on all of them. But I think we've got an excellent group of speakers this evening who are really, when I look at what they've done, have really excelled. And not just because they're women, but because they're fantastic entrepreneurs. And they've done a really great job. I mean, when you hear the stories tonight, I think you'll be rather amazed at the talent we have in the community here in the Mahoning Valley. And it's actually I think it's really cool. So I'll let Patrick introduce the group tonight, but welcome. And the format for this evening is we'll probably have the speakers talk 10 to 12 minutes, talk about their mission as an entrepreneur, how they started their businesses, what went into thinking about the business, and how they satisfied a market need. And they're going to talk a little bit about some of the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, and especially being a female entrepreneur, which is, makes it doubly competitive. And, there's probably a lot to prove there. So I think that we're going to do that. And then we'll kind of save like maybe 15, 20 minutes for questions. So we'll open it up to the group for questions afterwards. So please hold your questions while they present. And Patrick, do you want to make some introductions here?
Absolutely. So on your right, we have Ellie Platt. And Ellie Platt will be celebrating 10 years in her business next year. Ooh. Before that, she began right out of college at
How do you do that, Ellie, when you're 16?
Right? Before that, she began right out of college at Meridian Healthcare, serving in marketing, events, and fundraising role. She is active in many organizations and serves on the board of a variety of them. Her company has grown to 2 locations in Trumbull and Mahoning counties. They moved from a nationwide agency to an independent broker, offering a wide variety of insurance services, including home, auto, business, life, Medicare, and farm. This is Platt Insurance. And we have Britney Robinson, who you can see on the camera as well. And she's not with us right here today, but she is the owner of Nails By Binq nail salon and has been a licensed master nail technician for 15 years. Raised in Youngstown, Ohio, she is a wife, a mother of 2, and a mother of 2. Britney enjoys teaching and learning information regarding the always evolving nail industry. She was the winner of 2018 WE Westminster Create Women's Entrepreneurship Program through YBI and won the 2020 Nail Tech of the Year award from the Black Spa Professionals. Nails by Binq, where timeless artistic expression transcends generations. Tongue twister. And then on your left, we have Bergen
Giordani.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She has 20 years of marketing and special event planning experience. In 2013, she dreamed up One Hot Cookie. As a single mother working 2 jobs, she knew she had a little to lose and was willing to bet on herself. It paid off, and One Hot Cookie is now a multi-unit operation poised for national growth. In 2019, she started a new venture with her daughter, Morton, Morton, Ohio. Morgan, okay, typo. Donut company to fill a void in the gourmet donut market in the area. In addition to overseeing operations at both of these, she has a business that provides marketing and fundraising services to the Canfield Fair. She lives in Columbiana County with her 2 dogs, Remington and Bren, and her human dad. And their human dad. Very nice.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're happy to
definitely.
be here.
Absolutely. So Ellie, why don't you kick us off? Tell us
Sure.
about your entrepreneurial journey.
I will. I'm very happy to be here. I will tell you my passion is entrepreneurship and just meeting and talking with people out there. But to tell you a little bit about myself, so I was born and raised in the Youngstown area. I actually went to the Youngstown City Schools, Palsy Bun Elementary, until I got into middle school, and then I went to Canfield. That's where I grew up. And my first job, as Pat mentioned, right out of school, was in the nonprofit world. And it was something, my undergrad degree was in communications. And I really didn't even know the nonprofit world existed. And so when I graduated and I got a job working it, just that whole world opened up to me. And there's so much amazing work that's going on in the Youngstown area, so many great local nonprofits. And so I had the opportunity to work there for 10 years. And it was I really saw myself working there. My parents, my father was a minister of a local church. I was really raised with just that passion for Youngstown and just our community and finding needs in the community and filling them. So I was raised with that. And so I always thought, once, I was at Meridian, thought I'd always be there. But I was working my butt off for somebody else. And I was there 10 years and growing so much. I had so many wonderful people around me, but I did have this growing sense that I wanted something more, that I needed there was another challenge or something I needed to grow in. At the time I had a 2-year-old. And so I was constantly balancing the needs of my boss and being a mom and being a wife and all of those, that balance between work and family. And so I had the opportunity, 10 years in, this amazing opportunity. And this is why relationships matter so much. Somebody had introduced me to someone who worked with Nationwide Insurance corporately, and they had given them my name and said that she's somebody that might be good to run an insurance agency. So I went from nonprofit to insurance. It was a big leap. I didn't have any insurance background at all, but I agreed to take this meeting at Peaberry's in Canfield. I met them for coffee. 15 minutes in, it just clicked and I got this, I'm going to have my own business. And within 2 weeks, I got my insurance license. I quit my job, which was scary when I'm sure a lot of people are out there, making that leap from working, and Bergen can talk a lot about this, that leap from working into being self-employed is a scary leap of faith, really. And so I made that jump. And so that was 10 years ago. I can't believe I'm going to be celebrating 10 years in business. And it's definitely been one of the best decisions I could have ever made. I mean, the fact that I can work for myself, I could take all of the energy and time that I was putting into someone else's organization, I can now put into myself and my family. But it's not without challenges. I mean, it's a different type of pressure, I would say. So my business, again, it started 10 years ago. I started just with myself and another agent out in Trumbull County. And so since I've grown it to, I have 12 agents that work for me. We have 2 office locations. And so it's a different type of pressure, when you're, every 2 weeks, I need to pay payroll, I need to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do. And so, but it's been a slow build and growth to get there. I think probably the best advice I would have for entrepreneurs is really put a team around you. And, when you're starting out a business, that's easier said than done because you don't have the money to hire people. But it doesn't matter if it means that you find a friend or mentor. there are things that I do exceptionally well. I'm strong on the sales side of my business, on the marketing, but when it comes to operations and finance, it's not my strength. And so I found, find a good CPA, if marketing's not your thing, find a good marketing person, even if it's just a friend that you could bounce ideas off of. So I think really finding that team, I think was really critical for my growth and my success. That would be probably one of the first things. Secondly, you're going to make mistakes, expect to fail. And I think early on in my business, I didn't create that team in the beginning. I really thought, I had to do all of this myself, and you're going to make mistakes. I remember my first year in business, I was so focused on getting my business off the ground and selling insurance policies and learning the business. And I remember the end of my first year of business came, and it never occurred to me that I needed to be paying taxes throughout the year. And that's a really good example of, and I had, it was something I had to fix. But a good example of bring a CPA on like day one, to help advise you and give you direction. Because that wasn't an area of strength that I had. So you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, but it's really how you respond to those mistakes that really matter. And then also, I think there's a lot of students out there, I think we always have the belief, I know I did when I was in school, and then I went back and got my MBA. I remember thinking when I finished school, that's it. I've arrived, I've got the education done. Now I'm ready for the world. And it's not, it's just beginning. And I think just that culture of just a mindset of continuously learning, I think is so important in business and as an entrepreneur, is that you're going to constantly be learning. And, even right now, like I'm looking at areas of my business and we've been really successful, I'm at a great place, but I'm seeing areas where, I don't understand some technology. I used to really understand technology. And so I'm looking at courses that I can take. You're going to constantly be learning. And a big part of that learning, this is the last thing I'll say, is a big part of that learning to me is about surrounding yourself with people who really raise your bar and inspire you. And I'm looking here at Bergen, we both own businesses, but Bergen's become a very good friend of mine, but she was an inspiration to me and is an inspiration to me in business. And I'm a big believer in, you are the sum of the 5 people, that group of people that you surround yourself with. I am a big believer in that, because if you are surrounding yourself by people that inspire you, that are doing awesome things, that you're going to raise to that level. And so I would really take a hard look at, who's whispering in your ear, who's that circle for you, and find those people. What's beautiful at SCORE is that you have access to, and through YSU, mentors, other business leaders in the community. Find a mentor. That was when early on, this goes back to my Meridian days. I remember I was, part of my job was writing grants, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And so I would go down to the Youngstown library and just read books about writing grants, and that's how I learned to write grants. And then I looked around the community and I said, who's great at writing grants? And there were a couple people that stood out to me. One of them is Suzanne Barbati, who is the director now at Oh Wow, the Children's Museum downtown. And I serve on their board now. But back then, I was 22 years old, and I called her on the phone and said, can you meet me for lunch? And I think really being intentional about seeking out mentors, seeking out other business owners that you can learn from. I'm on a constant text stream with Bergen and other local business people where we're sharing ideas. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And sometimes we're like, that's a great idea. Sometimes, we say there's room for improvement. Or it could be, there's something about our business that we need to improve, and we're not afraid to say that to each other. And I think having those people around you is critical.
And it's a circle, not to interrupt you, but it's a circle of trust.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a circle of trust, and finding, those right people that you can, trust and be vulnerable with and share with. And there are those people out there. And so I think, I said one last thing is, I would say is, if you want to start your own business and that's your passion, I just do it. You know, I think about when I started my business, I had a 2-year-old, I had a mortgage. You know, when you're in your 20s, I look back and I think the risk is lower than it's ever going to be right now for you. And I think, you know, just do it. You know, if it's something that's in your heart, go for it. And you're going to find those people that'll lift you up and support you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Ellie, I've got a couple questions while we're talking to you on this.
Sure.
One of the things you brought up is the library.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I never thought of this when I was, you know, working and able to use the library like you should. But Mahoning County has a great library system.
Yeah, we do.
And some unbelievable librarians who will go out of their way to help you.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, those folks that are thinking about starting their own business and they happen to live in the Youngstown area, that's a tremendous asset to use.
The Business Resource Center.
Is that Stuart Gibbs?
Yeah, so Stuart still there? I know that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but the Business Resource Center is excellent. I mean, even, you know, in my business and sales, there's so many great resources where you can run lists on local businesses, target markets. I mean, it's really a beautiful resource.
And if you
Youngstown.
bring your problem to the library, this is the only.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience with libraries, I mean, I don't have much, but when we started to use the Mahoning County Library, it's relatively amazing what they do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And they have, and there's that the resource officer. I mean, they'll show you and guide you and train you on their systems.
Yeah. So keep that in mind.
That's a great point.
But, you know, one of the questions I have for you is you talk about, you know, failure being a big part of your education and success. Give us an example of when you thought you failed.
Oh,
because you're really a successful business.
My business has done really well. You know, I got my son off the bus at 2:00 today, and to me that's a success because now I can be there. You know, part of having my business was being able to be there as a mom. You know, I think my biggest challenge in business has been scaling a business. I think is a challenge. You know, as an entrepreneur, you get it started and you're just fighting those first few years to get it off the ground. And then you make it. And then it's like, okay, now what do I do from here? And I think scaling my business has been the biggest challenge, and doing it with other people. So growing, you know, I have 12 employees, and really managing other people. I would say that I do that well until, you know, you start really working with people, and they're looking to me as their guide and as their mentor. And so I think I fail often in that area, but I'm very honest about it. And we have a culture, I think, in our business where we can fail and I can say to them, you know what, guys, I think I took us off course here. Let's go back this way. And I think I fail a lot when it comes to leading. But that's a constant growth, you know, like I keep raising my bar, and I think that's why I feel that way. But I have a great group of people. I remember the first time I ever had to fire someone, and it to me was a failure. It was, you know, there's somewhere along the way I failed. It was either in the hiring, it was in the leading and guiding this person, you know, or it just, you know, it wasn't the right fit. But I think I feel like anytime you let someone go, like that's something as a leader, you need to look at yourself.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I told my daughter when she graduated from school, I said, Carly, I want you to remember one thing. People don't come to work to do a bad job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
People come to work to do a good job. It's we as their leaders or managers in that business that haven't provided them the right training, the right development. We haven't communicated very well with them. We haven't made them successful.
Yeah, right.
So I think you bring up a good point that keep in mind as an entrepreneur. I think you're always looking at how you do things different, how you're going to do things different the next time,
right?
In order to be successful.
Absolutely, yeah. You said it. Training, I think, has been one of my biggest challenges too, because you know you get to the place where okay, we need to hire people, and you bring someone in, And then it's actually a lot more work,
Yeah.
you know, to hire people and to, you know, make sure that you have
That's a
this.
big part of your job as a
Yeah.
leader.
Yep. And to have the systems and structure and process in place for them to be successful.
Mhm.
And so that's been hard as scaling a business in that way has been hard.
So one other question for you before we move on. Vision.
Mhm.
Okay. It takes, as a leader and an entrepreneur, it takes vision.
Yes.
You have to know, you know, I go out and I look at businesses I'm turning around and I say, well, this is what it is,
Mhm.
but really this is what it could be.
Yeah.
And so how did you train yourself to have that kind of vision to say, hey, I'm going to have an agency now with 12 employees. I'm going to have an agency with X number of dollars of revenue. How did you
Right.
gain that vision as an entrepreneur?
That's tough because in the beginning, you're just seeing rights right in front of you. Like, I got to make payroll in 2 weeks, you know, like that's what I'm focused on. It does take practice and time. I think it is. And to start, instead of just looking right in front of you, looking out ahead. And I think that's where you get the business to the next level, is that, I'm still working on that. I think getting crystal clear about vision is important, and having very specific goals of, you know, this is where I want to be in revenue in next year. And I'm at a place now where I can say, like, this is where we're going to be. This is how we're going to get there. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's still like a growing, I think just establishing those goals that it is important.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think some people are born with vision
Yeah.
and other people have to
Mhm.
learn it.
Yeah.
And so if you have to learn it,
Yeah.
how do you learn it? You know, that's the
Yeah, I
question.
think it starts, I don't, um, you might be familiar with Simon Sinek, and he talks about, like, start with your why. And I think for me, I've always been driven. For me, it's bigger than insurance. You know, I've been very driven by my why, and, you know, about creating something great for Youngstown and for our community. And so that's always driven me. Um, but I do think it's, some people instinctually have vision. You know, that's something that, you know, it's hard sometimes to look out into the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's key. And especially when you're an entrepreneur, how do you gain the vision when you don't know too many times we put limits
Yeah.
on ourselves, you
Right,
know?
right. And it's okay to change course too. I think that's been the most, you know, I at one time in my business had 5 offices. Actually, before COVID, I had 4 locations. And I think being able to be fearless and have the strength to make tough decisions and to say, you know, this isn't working, we're going to close this office. This employee, this isn't working in our business, like, it's time to let them go. Being able to have the strength to change course,
Mhm.
you know, is, I think, important too, because a lot of people don't want to admit, and it is even failure. It's just, you know, you're changing course and taking it in a different direction.
Yeah, and I think you got to come to the realization that changing course isn't failure.
Right.
It's actually learning.
Yeah, especially with COVID. I mean, gosh, COVID has accelerated. I mean, I've had so many goals and things that I wanted to do. I'm like, oh, this is 3-4 years down the road. And it's like, whoosh, now we're here right now. We have to deal with, like, we're meeting with all of our clients online. We're, you know, things like Zoom, and, you know, we're on Microsoft Teams. You know, I think so many businesses weren't prepared. And so it's accelerated trends, you know, that I don't think any of us expected.
No,
this
no, I
quickly.
totally agree with you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Patrick, do we want to move on to our next guest?
Yeah, we can go to Brittany.
Brittany?
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Brittany.
Okay. How are
Hi,
you?
everybody?
Do you mind if we?
I'm doing okay. I'm kind of under the weather, so I'm zooming from my room.
Brittany,
hear
go
me?
ahead. I didn't hear you here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Perfect.
can.
There you go.
Okay, I said I've been under the weather, so I'm kind of, zooming from my room.
Yeah, we understand. We understand that. This is not the time to be, this is the time to be healthy because no one is. So go ahead.
Correct. And it's a scary time. And, you know, I have myself quarantined right now away from my kids because they're babies. So whatever this is, I'm waiting on my results and I don't know what it is, but we're just praying for the best and taking necessary precautions right now.
Well, tell us about your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so hello everyone. I am Britney Robinson. I originally am from Youngstown area, and I started my entrepreneurial journey at, let's see, concerning nails, I started at 16 years old. I was licensed at 17. Actually, I got my license the last day of my junior year in high school. So all my other friends were graduating. I was down in Columbus taking my state board test. And what I just started off really just having fun. I was as an athlete. I was a student, a scholar athlete, and I had got hurt my 10th grade year. And so I could no longer play. And so I took up a liking for nails during I think it was 2002, 2003 Christmas break, I want to say, because I got my license 2005. So maybe it was like between 2003 and 2 and 4, something like that. But anywho, I just took up a liking to it. And I was a kid. So I was making a lot of money, right? I didn't have, like you were talking about, I didn't have a very clear vision because in the African-American community, we all just work in this, well, any community, the beauty industry, period. You work in a salon, you are at that time, okay, because we're talking about 15 years ago, the nail tech was like the hairstylist wingman. So whoever the hairstylist did, they automatically gave him to the nail tech. But I came in with a big clientele already because I was popular in high school. So I was really running a business, but I had no clue what I was doing. So fast forward to my daughter's 5. So maybe like 6 years ago, I actually really started taking my business very serious when I got married because I got pregnant 2 days later. So right after I got married, I said, whoa, there's somebody counting on me. So I need to really take it serious. And I had went through a lot of changes with business. Different salons just no longer suited me. I was the baby in the city for a very long time as a licensed professional. So it was very difficult to maneuver my way in business and mature at the same time. And so it was it was kind of a tough road for me in the beginning. Also, as you can see, I'm an African-American woman. So I think that I felt a lot of times even, well, not now anymore, because I'm really a staple right now. I'm really a solidified business. But for a very long time in business, I felt like I always had to, what's the word? Like solidify that I was a real business and not a hustler. Okay, because for whatever reason in our community, when you are running a business or you are setting out on a business venture, they always want to say, oh, that's a hustler, right? Instead of being just a business owner like my counterparts. And so after I had my daughter, I really got very serious about my business. I linked up with people who knew more than me. What I did not really know is that
more than you.
Yeah, people that knew more than me, because I really realized early on in the game that a lot of people who were older than me in the industry really did not have vision. They weren't paying their taxes. A lot of them didn't even claim all of the money that they've made. So it was ill business advice. And so I went so many years not doing good business practices because I didn't know. You know, my mom and my father, or my mother, was a life-man. She's a registered nurse. She worked for Ohio State Penitentiary. So my dad was a teacher. My grandfather was the water commissioner of Youngstown, Ohio. My grandmother was a principal for years in Youngstown City School. So I literally stepped out into a whole nother world. They had no clue how to even help me or whatever. So they was like, girl, you're your own. So, but after I had my daughter, I really wanted to do great business. You know, I already was a great nail tech with the great skills, but I wanted my life to show that, right? So I didn't want to be a public success and a private mess. Mm. So after I had my daughter, I still had a few little issues with, you know, some people I worked with, you know, because the beauty industry can be very catty. Okay. So before I had her, I went through some things. I worked in a Vietnamese salon, and that was not a good deal. That was not a good deal at all. And so I ended up leaving there, and I actually stopped doing nails for about 6 months after my daughter was born, because I was absolutely just, I was discouraged with the business. But then I got my second win, and I said, I'm back. And I came through, and I told my husband, I said, if you let me do nails at the house, right, with the baby, I'm going to take this business somewhere that I don't even know where it's going to go, but it's going to go up, right? It just can't go any further down than this. So I got myself together. I got my clientele back. And then from there, this is the road of entrepreneurship, because it's not always cute, right? So I went from being young in my parents' home first, right? Then I moved to a salon, left that salon, went to another salon, left that salon. I've been to so many salons, not even funny. I worked at 2 Vietnamese salons. After my daughter was born, I worked at home for 8 of those 14 months when I stayed at home with her. And I thought to myself, I gotta get out of here. First of all, staying at home is not for me, period. No. If you're a stay-at-home mom, God bless. But it was just not the road for me, because I saw something way bigger for Nails by Binq. And so I just kept working. I eventually get out of the house. I started working at my brother's barbershop. That was okay. But, you know, working with family is sometimes it can be like, you know, it's okay, but no. And then I have women who I feel like they're all, what's the word? Celebrities. I treat all my clients like they're celebrities. So I was like, I don't want them in a barbershop. That's terrible. So then I decided, okay, let's move to this spa, right? I'm thinking this spa I'm going to is this big to-do, right? This big to-do. It was a disaster. Okay. Again, we're talking about the road to entrepreneurship. So it was a big disaster. And so I had to literally, I felt like I was in a fight or flight situation every day at work. And so that was a horrible experience. But then one day, I heard God just say, just trust me and step out, right? I've heard so many times throughout the years, you can own your own salon. I'm like, oh, I guess, you know. So I went and looked at this space, and the space was my booth rent and my parking downtown. Every month, I was like, oh, I could pay this. This is no big deal. So needless to say, I opened up my salon last year by myself, last February. And that year alone, I made, I think, double my income that I was when I was working at another salon. So I said all that to say, and then this year I remodeled my salon. So if you have a chance to look up Nails by Binq, you'll see the video of me redoing my salon, remodeling my salon. But again, I did all that by myself. But the thing that I would say is the reason why I, as an entrepreneur, have grown tremendously within the last 5 years is because, is it Ellie?
Yes, Ellie. Me? Ellie.
Yeah, because what Ellie said, I surrounded myself with women who were in the beauty industry, because beauty industry can be a little bit trickier than a lot of other industries. And I'm sure every other industry has their things, you know, but beauty industry can be tricky because I'm still a service provider and I'm trying to move out of that. But, you know, in that I had to surround myself with people who saw more than I saw, right? And who had more exposure than I did, and who had more vision, because sometimes you can get to a certain place where your eyes literally will stop seeing. Mm-hmm. Like they'll stop seeing, and then you have to do like a factory reset, like an iPhone, and reboot the whole thing. And so I think the one thing that I am grateful for is that my mind, my husband, and my tribe now that I've gotten that, and there are people that I don't even know, but they believed in me when I didn't, right? And so like resources with business credit, and I also own a CBD company, so that came through networking with other women in the business. And so you just never know. The You know, at 17, you could have never told me I would be the nail tech of the year 2020. I would own my own nail salon in 2019, 2020. I would have 2 little children, be married, and I could get whatever I want to get. Like at 17, you could have not told me that. But because that's what entrepreneurship is, it is just like, it's a beautiful unknown world. And as long as you stay open to learning, you'll be open to earning. And so that's what I always tell my mentees too.
That's a good
the more
phrase.
you learn, the more you earn.
That's awesome.
So Brittany,
I'm just really,
Brittany, one of the questions I have, and maybe you can enlighten us on here, because you seem pretty remarkable. Talk about following your passion, because that's obviously what you did. You have a passion for what you do. And, you know, in most cases, I mean, it doesn't matter what that passion is. You can become the best at anything you want to do if you have that passion and that desire and that drive and ambition. Tell us a little bit about that and you.
So nails is really my passion. I feel like even if I didn't get paid, I'd still show up, right? That's really what a passion is, because I've found that my passion was really serving people too. It's not so much just doing the nails, it's the service of the people. And because I was raised in a home with ministers and leaders in the church and in the city, I was raised in servanthood, you know, servitude or whatever you want to call it, and being benevolent. And so my passion really has driven it, because it's been days. If it wasn't for the passion behind the business, I would have been Candace. No. Because women can be something else to deal with, but because the passion, it drives it. Even when you look crazy, it's not really crazy to you. Everybody else will think you're crazy, but your passion won't let you stop driving or stop, pursuing the dream. The passion won't let you stop pursuing the dream.
Yeah, that's very good. Very good.
Yeah. So my passion too is to teach other women, not just to be service providers, but to be actual business owners. And so I am trying to start the process for my nail school. So we'll be seeing that soon,
yeah,
hopefully
awesome.
the next couple of years.
Awesome.
So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Goals and ambitions are part of, an entrepreneur's journey. And I think you
Yes.
always look at, what you've done and be proud of what you've done and look at what's next, because that's what drives us forward, is what's
Yes.
next.
Mm-hmm.
So Brittany, anything else you want to add?
I think the only thing that I want to add is just make sure. Oh, you know what? I did want to say as well what Ellie said about the business library in downtown Youngstown. I did win that grant for the Youngstown Business Incubator with the Women's Entrepreneurship Program.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so the grant was something that I actually just stumbled upon. My friend is Tanisha Wheeler. She is the program director for Inspiring Minds. And I had just had my son a couple months prior, and she was like, you should really try this program. Stephanie was over it at one time. Now Camilla's over it. And so I know all of them, but I didn't know about the program. And so I got into the program and I took the program serious because, I thought it was a great opportunity. And so it was We Create, and you had to do your business plan. You had to do a mission statement. You had to do basically your whole business plan. And I pitched my plan to the panel, and that was regarding my nail press online called Exquisite Tips by Binq, which I no longer make because they take too much time. And that's where a team should have come in, but because I didn't know, I just didn't know. But I won the $1,000 grant for the We Create program.
That's fantastic.
That's an amazing
Thank you.
program, by the way. Like if you're in Youngstown, that they, we, the Women's Entrepreneurship Program at the YBI, you can enroll in that. They do it, like a couple times a year.
And there's I'm on the board. I'm on the.
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
It's like different.
It's We
It's
Create,
different
We
parts. It's
Grow,
like-
and We something else.
Yeah. Yep.
About
That's
scaling.
exactly
Oh,
right.
From
Yeah,
ideas to
Mhm.
maintaining to growth.
But there's been amazing businesses that
Yeah.
have grown out of that. Mhm.
Yes, there have been amazing businesses. I just the press online, it requires so much work. It's almost like doing nails, like doing a client every single day. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of want to work smarter, not harder.
That's a
Absolutely.
success. You learn that. That's a success, that you figure that out.
Yeah, like I need a graphic designer. I'm not good at graphics. I can do them all. I can do a whole lot of stuff, but now I'm like, I'd rather just pay and just get it out the way.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We want to move on to Bergen now. And she runs a business that is just a great little business. And I was hoping she'd bring some samples, or something, but she came
Sorry.
empty-handed tonight.
I'm
But anyway,
sorry.
Bergen, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name's Bergen Giordani. I own One Hot Cookie and O Donut Company. One Hot Cookie has locations in downtown Youngstown and in Boardman. Currently, because of COVID and some other factors, we are only open in Boardman right now, but we look forward to reopening downtown sometime in the near future, probably after the first of the year. And then in last year, my daughter and I opened O Donut Company with a friend of ours. So just kind of expanding upon our business model and also taking advantage of a space that was open next to us, as well as filling a void in the market. So how One Hot Cookie got started, I feel like I've told this story a million times. So I apologize if I sort of gloss over it because I feel that I'm boring people. But in 2012, I was working two jobs, like a regular day job, and then also bartending on the side. And I had she was probably 13. So I had my daughter when I was very young and sort of did life backwards a little bit. So I had my daughter when I was 18. I graduated from college when I was 29. And then I think I was 34 when we opened One Hot Cookie. So I had been to a similar business out of town and thought, gosh, this is great. And then at the same time was familiar with some of the revitalization projects that were going on in downtown Youngstown. And there was a space that was open. So I literally made an offhand comment to someone, to the right person, apparently, looked at the space, went home and wrote a business plan in 2 days, and then came back and said, this is it, I'm going to do it. And which is, yeah.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. It's been a long journey since then. But the funniest thing I like to say is I had to call my dad, who had owned his own business for years and then went back working for corporate America. And I said, hey, like I'm starting a cookie shop. And he goes, please tell me you're not going to quit your job. Because I think all in his mind was like, oh, I can't send her any more checks. Like, we're done. But no, it was good. So when I started One Hot Cookie, the idea was to enhance my existing income and to fill a void in the market. Again, not to buy myself a job or get myself out of day-to-day work, which is only ironic in that that's exactly how, 7 years later, that's where I'm at. So along the way, we have opened and closed multiple stores, kind of figuring out what direction we want to go in, what works, what doesn't work. I tend to make very quick decisions. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right. And we've been learning as we go. We have a wonderful team behind us and surrounding ourselves with personally on like the running the business level and also working in the stores. Our employees are fantastic. Working with my daughter has been both a blessing and a curse some days, but no, it's been amazing. She is the reason. Ellie talked a lot about her why. And from the beginning, proving to Morgan that, you know, you don't have to work, you shouldn't have to work 2 jobs, and also that you can do whatever you want to do. So if you wake up one day and decide you want to open a business, then figure out a way and you
Yeah.
can do it. There is nothing you can't do. So I've been told that I think I can build a rocket ship with an instruction manual. And so there's something to be said for blind courage, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the story of how we got started. And then I feel like no one has really touched on COVID
Yeah.
and how it affected their business. And since we are very much a public facing, Brittany, I don't know how your business fared during COVID because you had some government restrictions as well. But this was a really tough year. We had a lot of big goals and a lot of big plans. And then COVID happened and it was a punch to the gut. You know, when you're told by the government that you're not allowed to operate your business, or like it's just mind blowing. So that was a shock, and it really, I think it refocused us, and it kind of put realigned some of our priorities, put us back on focus, and it really pulled us back into the business. 2020 has felt like our first year in business. Just from the amount of work that we're doing. And we've been very blessed with, you know, we're having a tremendous year. We're also working very hard. So those two things kind of go hand in hand. So success and hard work, I think that that's something that Ellie and Britney both touched on. But yes, COVID has been rough. We were very fortunate that we had an online platform already set up so we could do e-commerce. What COVID did was show the cracks in our e-commerce system. So we have since invested in building that infrastructure. It was one of those things like Ellie touched on. We knew we had to do it. It was in the works, but it was always something like, oh yeah, like we'll get to that. And this just COVID accelerated it. And we, on both sides, had to make upgrades and are in the process of making upgrades. I'll talk a little bit about just a quick success story in that we came up with this idea to do these decorate your own donut kits. So it was great. And we're like, oh, you know, we'll do this. This is fine. And, you know, we'll deliver them because we've already got these systems in place. We can just throw these online. And I was like, oh, maybe Maureen's like, how many do you think we'll sell? I'm like, I don't know, 10. What do you think? And she's like, I'm going to go with 12. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Like, so we put them online and then we sit there and it's like, bing, bing, bing. And we sold like 40 in the first hour and it just exploded. So we spent the better part of, very fortunately, March and April making donuts and then delivering them. So that was a challenge in that we had to figure out how to be a delivery company. You know, for the cookies, we rely on FedEx and, you know, kind of locally around, but we never did the volume day after day that we found ourselves doing on both sides during COVID. So
one of the great things I told Bergen about here, she has this really neat decorate a cookie program where I don't know how many in the box, 2,
6.
3, 4, 6, whatever, you know, and you can send them to your grandchildren, you can send them to your friends' kids, send them to yourself, really. And you can decorate your own cookie and make it any way you want, which is a great surprise for somebody, great gift. One of the things, Bergen, I wanted you to talk about. So you talk about how do you define a void in the market? So how did you go through and say, hey, if I want to decorate, I want to sell these, and they're high quality cookies. How do you define that there's a need for that? How did you come to this conclusion?
I was hungry. That's how I defined the need. No. So when we started One Hot Cookie, the proximity, so our original location is in downtown Youngstown on Phelps Street at the foot of the steps that lead to campus. So the connector between downtown and the campus community. So we had felt that there was a need for late night snacks, not bar food, but what happens after the bars close. So we set out to be that late night snack destination. And then as our business evolved, it sort of took on a persona of being more towards families and young kids. And our downtown location still had late night hours. But as we expanded into the suburbs, we became more family friendly and more of a dessert a dessert shop. So just seeing that there was that lack of sweets downtown at the time. And then when talking about the gourmet donuts, so our donuts, so it's a little twofold. Our donuts have the fun toppings on them, comparable to like a duck donut, if you're familiar with that, or a Peace Love and Little Donuts. There was not a donut shop doing anything like that in the area. Were donut shops. I think it's just us and Dunkin' left now, and then a couple of the bakeries that have them, but no one was doing that. So couple thoughts came into my mind. One, we need to have that in the Youngstown area. Two, if someone else does it, it's competition for one hot cookie. So the best way to prevent having competition would be to start our own. And then third, the space next to us in Boardman opened up. So we were able to do some remodeling and do a shared kitchen concept that kept the costs down. And then what was also great about that is we were able to co-share the space with another friend of ours who owns Spruce Home Decor and Gifts. So it really, the donuts sort of happened with a planned organic feel to it.
Now,
So
do you serve coffee there?
we do. So O Donut Company is a full-fledged coffee shop, coffee, donuts, lunch. So we're open 8 to 2 during every Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay. Because I didn't know if when you started making cookies, did you serve coffee at that?
So we did, but we never did it great because downtown at the point in time pre-COVID had 2 or 3 great. You couldn't miss a block without hitting a great coffee shop. So we kind of stayed in our lane and did what we did best. But now as we've expanded to more of a breakfast lunch counter concept, then we realized that we needed the coffee. So we partnered with Branch Street. So we buy all of our coffee products from Matt at Branch Street. So we're continuing to keep the local flair.
Yeah, when I first went there, I mean, what it reminded me of, if you've ever been to Europe, anybody that's on the phone, and you've been to like Switzerland or France for that matter, or Germany to a certain extent, I guess, but particularly France and Switzerland, about the sweet shops that are there that have really unique stuff. And so when you talk about flavors that you're looking for and something different, how'd you pull some of this stuff together, these ideas, just through experimentation?
Yeah, a lot through experimentation, through, just researching different flavor combinations. And we would take different combinations of food and then just put our spin on it and put it on a cookie.
And taste testing. Did
Yeah.
you do like didn't you do a group taste
Yeah,
test?
we did. When we opened the donut shop, we did a group taste test and we invited friends in. Ellie and her son came in, and then we had about 25 people in there, and we would give them sheets of paper, and it was one or two, which did you like better? Tell me why. So, we've gotten, as we've learned, know better, do better. So we're trying to do better now so that we're coming out of the gate, batting 1,000, which is something I think that as you scale and as you become, people frequently ask, what's the hardest store? What was the hardest store? Was it your first one? No, the first one was easy. No one knew who I was. No one knew what we were doing, and no one cared. The hardest one is whatever you're doing right now, because they think of you at this level. And if you don't come out of the gate swinging, you're a failure. Yeah, the level of expectations is high. So going back to 2013, it was fine.
Right.
That one was easy.
So where do you go next? What do you do? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, since COVID, it has really opened our eyes up to online. So we are focusing on growing our online presence. We are in the middle, middle of revamping all of our packaging products and getting a more professional, more nationwide appearance so that we can ship the cookies. And then we're starting an online marketing campaign targeting certain cities. So where there's already a Youngstown tie. So we looked at like Southwestern Florida and then Columbus, and picking these areas of the country where someone might see our ad and be like, oh yeah, I remember them. They're in Youngstown. And then trying to grow from there sort of concentrically around. But it's really growing our online platform.
Yeah, and I think come the holidays, this is the time to call Bergen and
Thanks for
make
that
sure
plug.
you you order. I mean, it's funny because just this in Youngstown, you know, there's Buttermaid Bakery.
And they have a tremendous kolache business.
They do a fantastic business and their stuff is really high quality and it's shipped all over the United States, maybe all over the world. I don't know.
They do a lot of military shipping. So I would say the world. And I should give a plug to Danny Catullo, who started Perishable Shipping Solutions.
Yeah.
I know Buttermaid works with them. We work with them. They help you ship food products, and it's a tremendous resource, and we're very fortunate to have it here in town.
Yeah, and Danny, you know, Danny is somebody that we should sometime bring on the program because he's set up some pretty interesting stuff with FedEx and being able to get out food relatively quickly.
Yeah, so we use their aggregate shipping program. So we ship as part of their group at a lower rate. So. And then I know that I've leaned on him for help around the holidays when people will want to ship to Canada. And I'm like, I have to fill out this manifest. I don't know what this means. So we are lucky to have that.
I mean, those are some of the problems you face as an entrepreneur doing something different. And that's the problem with success is people are coming to you saying, can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
But I think overall, you know, Bergen, you've got have to be very proud of what you've done because it's a really great
thank you.
A great business you've developed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's been great doing it alongside with my daughter, and she's really taken the helm
I mean,
at our donut shop. So she's it's been fun to watch that kind of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we move on to questions, Bergen, anything else you want to talk about?
I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. So Patrick, do we want to open it up for questions? Do we
anyone
have anybody on the line that would like to ask one of our three entrepreneurs a question this evening?
Anyone can unmute themselves and ask away.
Does Bergen have a LinkedIn? I'd love to connect with her. Hi, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name's Rihanna. I actually think that I share some of the same interests as you. I'm trying to start my own baking company. So I'd love to connect with you through LinkedIn if you do have a LinkedIn.
I do. I am on LinkedIn. So Bergen Giordani.
I can put that in the chat for you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Rihanna's at Westminster Entrepreneurial Center and has some great ideas on confection. So you guys need to connect.
All right. Awesome. I look forward to it. Also, it's probably best because I don't really go on LinkedIn. I know it's a terrible thing to say in this program, but if you just go to our website, you can send me an email, info@onehotcookie.com, or just personally to BG, my two initials, at onehotcookie.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I'm Selena Thomas. I'm also with the Westminster Entrepreneurship program, and I have a few questions, but one of my questions is for Ellie. So what are some of the challenges you face being a female business owner, and what do you think are some of the best ways you've overcame them?
So as a female business owner, I guess we didn't touch on this that much. I would say, you know, and I'm in a very male dominated industry. So insurance, and in the financial industry, it's very male dominated. I would say overall that my biggest challenge, and I think women, a lot of the women business owners I know, it really starts with ourselves, is really, I think Bergen, this was in her intro about really, I think you said investing in yourself or betting on yourself. And I think some of it a lot, like it goes back to that. I think sometimes, and I run into this a lot. I mean, I could tell you all kinds of stories. I remember when I first started my business, probably the most common question I would get is, are you in this, is your husband in this business with you? Or do you work for your father? And, you know, it was like a common occurrence. And I would say proudly, no, I'm the business owner. So I think we run into little things like that, but I really think ultimately, sometimes I think it's can be a cultural thing, or depending on how you're raised, is that we sometimes as women will make ourselves smaller than we need to be. You make yourself small. And I think that that's the challenge, is that, you know, we got to stop that. And the thoughts, ideas, the things that we're doing, you know, the friends around me that own businesses locally, we're doing so many amazing things. And I think sometimes we hold our own selves back, you know, by thinking that that's what we're supposed to do, or, but I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges for me, was to really own the fact, like, no, like I own this thing, like I'm the boss. I've had challenges, and this, again, I think it comes back to me, but I've had challenges managing male employees. I think sometimes, but I think it comes back to us. It's like my own, you know, how I was raised, or my thoughts, but, you know, but I think, you know, but at the end of the day, like, it does come back to us, and just, you know, rising above them. I think it's just really, really having confidence in yourself, and betting on yourself, and knowing that, you know, this is, you know, knowing your why, and this is your thing, and just continually going back to that.
Yeah. And you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think, you know, I always saw myself as a really good number two, you know, because I worked for very amazing, successful men who have been mentors of mine. But to really own my position of, you know, I'm the boss, like I own this. And to now I could say that with pride, but it's something I've had to grow into personally. So I don't know if other women deal with that, but I know that's something I've had to just grow into that and kind of take it.
Brittany, any thoughts on that?
I missed the question.
Just
I'm sorry, guys.
Like challenges as a
challenges
female
that
business
you have.
owner.
Oh, the challenges. I feel like, again, the challenges I have as a woman entrepreneur, again, is that demanding respect again, you know, like Ellie said, having people understand that, no, I am the boss. I make the rules. You know, yeah, I do make the money too, you know what I'm saying? So, and sometimes, even in the beauty industry where it's more women in it, it is still something what men control, because a lot of the men are behind the businesses, right? And a lot of the men own some of the companies, and like some of the manufacturing and things like that. So it's kind of hard. The other challenge that I face is because nails require so many components, getting funding, sometimes it's hard, like getting funding, getting equipment and things like that. Those are some challenges that I face. And then the other challenges I face is getting workers. And so having a salon full of workers who are willing to put out the same quality of work that I do, that's a very big challenge for me. That's why I'm a one woman show right now, but hopefully that will change in the future.
Right.
I think women too, like, you made me think of this, that we, there's a big, one of my biggest challenges has been stepping back, and is that difference between working in your business and working on it. And I think as women, yes, we almost have this instinctual need to work in it. You know, like we're doing something wrong if we're not like the one doing the work on the front lines. And as a leader, I've had to grow and recognize that my business is not going to grow if I'm working in it. I have to be the one that steps back. I have to delegate. I have to be comfortable saying, I'm not doing this. I'm giving this to you to do. And I think that instinctually women sometimes, and there's a lot behind that, but I think we feel like we need to work in it. Like, so I don't know if you.
And that's what I'm facing right now. That's what I'm facing right now. Is I just told my husband that I am getting ready. That's why I'm taking a couple of weeks off during the beginning of the year, which I always do anyway. But I'm taking a few weeks off in January because I need to really write out a plan to implement other people to work my business. And that I can step back, because I'm starting to not, I'm starting to like try to be tired of the everyday, like doing that thing. And my daughter is in kindergarten and my baby is 2. And I'm like, I've been doing this half of my life. I'm only 32. I'll be 33 on November 21st. So that's a lot of time to dedicate to a business. And so I'm like, it's time for me to step back, take my hands off of it. But it's kind of hard to entrust somebody with your baby.
So what we recently did is we invested in some office space because we found that we were continually working amongst the customers because we're a customer facing business. So it became hard to, even though you're doing something, it looks like you're just playing on the computer. So when the phone's ringing and our employees are crazy, you feel the need to jump in, you feel the need to do this. And you're also very accessible to the customers, that it just wasn't working. And my daughter actually pulled me, we were toying with the idea and I was like, oh, I don't know if we should pull the trigger. Like, is it time? Is it the right time to do this investment? And she goes, listen, employee morale is low because you're always in a bad mood because you're trying to do your work.
Wow.
And you can't. So this is what we need to do. It's the time. So
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Smart girl.
she's a keeper.
Exactly. Any other questions? Do we have any?
Oh. Yeah, I have a question also for Bergen. You mentioned that you made a couple business models for your business and how they ended up being really successful. So what do you think are some good tips to making a really successful business plan?
Oh, I don't know that I made successful business plans. But I'm sorry, can you rephrase the question?
Yeah. So you put together like a business model for your businesses, correct?
Yes, I did in 2 days. So I'm sure it's garbage, right? If I would go back and look at it now, I'm sure that I would think it was garbage. But I do for the first couple years, and we were talking about this offline before the call started, the Emerging Leaders Program, which used to be called,
I don't know.
it's through the Small Business Administration. We are very, very fortunate in Youngstown to be one of the sites for it, because I think the other closest one, I don't even know where it is, but I had people from Pittsburgh driving in for my class. So it's a course through the Small Business, EMBA, I think or E2000. E2000 is what it was. But essentially it is an MBA program for business owners. And you talk about your business plan and you bring your books and you sign confidentiality agreements and you really just rewrite your business plan and you rewrite out 2 and 3 years. And that going through that course at about 18 months into our business really helped me learn how to level up, or to even see that leveling up was a possibility. So I think that once you write your business plan, it's a living, breathing document that you need to go back to. And like, you don't need to go back and revisit your demographics or, how your position is. But I think you need to you always do a SWOT analysis every year, look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses. What are your opportunities? What are your threats? Because the world around us is changing and evolving, and who we consider competition changes. And I think that it's important to just have that document or be willing to do an introspective look at your business, whether it's just through reading business books and kind of like applying that knowledge to and thinking about what you're doing, or actually physically getting out your business plan and rewriting it.
Yeah, I mean, the business plans I think are so important, especially I think the SWOT, but also entrepreneurship, it's messy too. So you have your plan.
And the plan was really for the landlord, because he was like, you're going to do what? And I'm like, oh, I'll bring you my business plan, because I thought that sounded fancy.
And because, the banks are going to ask you, so many people are going to ask you for the plan, and it does need to be living and breathing and real. But it also needs to be adaptable, and it's messy. Like, I feel like we might go this way in our plan, and then we have to like hurry up and adjust, and things happen they don't expect. Things don't work the way you want them to.
I've always considered the business plan to be just to help you get focused, number one, but
Yeah.
number two, to put in front of a bank to get money.
Yeah,
yeah.
banks love
Banks
business
want it,
plans.
You know, so
Makes you look like you know what you're doing.
exactly.
But it's a helpful
Yeah.
exercise.
Business
It
plan
is
is
helpful.
Yeah.
For sure.
But you'd be surprised how many businesses I've been in where we do turnarounds. And I say, let me look at your business plan. And they blow the dust off of it because it hasn't been touched in 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, to keep it as a live breathing document to know what you're doing,
Mhm.
it's actually a good tool to have, you
Yeah.
know, but you got to keep it updated and you got to change it and realize that it's a fluid document.
Yeah.
So that was a
Especially
great
now.
question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else, Patrick?
Doesn't look like it.
Last chance for everybody. No, I think we've got it covered then. So I want to thank you folks for tuning in here today. I mean, it's really, again, it's really a sense of pride because I know either the people or the business that they operate. And I think it's, you know, we had 3 remarkable women on the program today and remarkable business people. And I think that's what makes the Valley what it is today because of some of the efforts and some people willing to take a step out of the traditional quote unquote their box and trying to get out and change things. So I want to thank you for participating today. Thanks to our guests for their vision and insight on what makes an entrepreneur. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Mhm.